speakers are dear friends of mine from Michigan. Listen, $300,000 earners, right? 5 regional vice presidents, senior vice presidents themselves, and the leaders of the Waymaker, someone say Waymaker, right? The leaders of the Waymaker hierarchy, Josh and Sarah Christian! All right, let's go. Are you guys fired up or what? There is nothing like it right there. I just love it. Oh my goodness. First of all, let's give a shout out to the leadership team here and what they put together. Isn't this just amazing? Oh my goodness. This venue is awesome. I want to give a shout out to my beautiful wife, my ride or die, Sarah. She's sitting around here somewhere looking fine. The Waymakers hierarchy, right? Guys, I just, as I sit here and I look around and I see all of the speakers, I just have so much gratitude for the opportunity that we're given. You know, you guys heard yesterday, I was a police officer, you know, like 8 years ago. And I mean, the pay was, you know, it was pretty good. Make about what I make in a month now, you know. No big deal, right? You know, but as I was thinking about this talk today, you know, we all have a journey that we're on here, every single one of us. And there's a lot of different reasons why people come here, and there's a lot of paths that you're going to take. There's, you know, some people are coming here to build a big business, get their recruiting going. Hopefully that's you. Some of you want to be advisors. That's fine too. But either way, it's going to be a bit of a journey. And so I want to talk to you. The other day, Sarah and I were watching this TV show. This was like maybe a month or 2 ago, and the show was about the trip on the Oregon Trail, right? And it got me thinking. You guys, any of you ever play this old game? It was like impossible to win. You just died of everything. It's like the business, right? Like people just, it's like, oh, I can't make it to that meeting. I just can't do it. If you only understood. Right? There are people right now that live real close to here that didn't make it, and there are people that flew across the country, drove across the country because you made the decision to do it. People die in this business for all kinds of reasons. Excuse-itis is a big one, right? It's a terrible one, right? Negative thinking, poor habits. Let somebody talk them out of their dreams, right? Some broke person, never built anything. And so I after watching the show for a little bit, I just was like, I like history and I like seeing these things, and I think to myself, man, the reason that we're here is because of people that forged a path before us. It's the same in the business, it's the same here. And, you know, I did some research. I'm like, this is pretty interesting. This had to be a pretty tough trip. And, you know, the show, there were people from all over the world. A lot of them didn't even speak English. And they would have to go and they'd hire these people to take them across to a place that they'd never been to before. They just believed that their life was going to be better, that the life for their kids was going to be better because of what they were willing to do. And the trip was, you know, it was a 2,100-mile trip, which to us, 2,100 miles, some of you guys probably came that far to get here. And you may have run into some challenges, right? Probably have some stories. Man, we had to wait for our rental car. Oh, it was terrible. They had to de-ice the plane. Imagine 2,100 miles in a wagon with your babies, with people you've never met before. Maybe you don't speak your language. You're ill-prepared. You've never been on a trip like this before. You start out on this trip, and you could have whatever vocation, but it probably isn't a pioneer. Right? In the beginning, when they were taking off, I was reading, one of the things that was really interesting about this was that when they were leaving from where they were going, there were these people that would try to sell them these guidebooks. And, you know, the guidebooks, they would like promise all of these shortcuts. Right? They'd read, oh, wow, look at this. You can do this. Well, I have something to tell you. There ain't no shortcut. There is no shortcut. Right? Oh, maybe if I just send videos. No.
That ain't gonna work, right? I'm not saying don't send videos, but that doesn't mean you don't self-develop too. That doesn't mean you don't work on your personal skills. That doesn't mean you don't work on your work ethic and your habits. So people will try to tell you that there's an easier way. Not always even outside the company, sometimes inside the company. I'm here to tell you there isn't an easier way. You got to do this thing. You got to make the decision that you plant your flag. You're on your way somewhere, and you're going to make it through the journey. You're going to make it happen. And another thing that I read was that there wasn't one set path. In my mind, I thought there was probably one path to get there. And for some of you, you see somebody up on the stage. I was just talking to somebody before I came up here. I said, man, I've been here for 10 years. I'm about to go RVP in a couple months. I said, well, your first 10 years doesn't have to look like your second 10 years. Look, it does not matter where you are right now. Your past does not define you. You define your past. And so you see some people up here and you go, man, look at the path that they took. They got there so fast. Look, you do not need to compare yourself to them. You need to compare yourself to who you were the other day, who you were before you came into this event, and then decide you're going to be somebody different. When you leave here, there are many paths to get there. There are a lot of different paths to get there. But on the way, you have to decide that you're going to be a pioneer. So you may have came in here like I was a police officer before. I get people asking me, you're a police officer, right? And I still got some of those traits. Like I come into a room, I don't like to have my back to the door, I'm really not a big, people want to come up and high five me and hug me. I'm like, I'm okay over here, right? But when you set out, you're a pioneer. That's your job. You can't take all that stuff with you. You have to decide that I am planting my flag, I'm making it happen. I am going to get there, come hell or high water. I am going to make this thing happen. And so you look back, and the wheel ruts on the path, you can still see them today. The things that you are doing today, it might not seem like it matters. The work that you're doing right now on yourself, erasing some of the negative thinking that you might have had in your past, right? We didn't grow up with money. My family didn't. Some people come in here and it's like, they just get it. We didn't have that when I grew up. So I had to rewire the way that I thought. But the things that I'm doing right now, the things that you are doing right now in this room, you are laying the foundation for your kids. One of the speakers was just saying something about that, and I heard somebody say one time, we come here so that people, they don't have their thumb on us, right? But I want to even help you a little bit further. You shouldn't just think about you, but nobody should ever have their thumb on your kids either, or their kids' kids, because of what you do here. When you set out on this path, you're going to have to cross some pretty treacherous terrain, and sometimes you're going to have to cross rivers, right? And they'd have to cross multiple rivers. Sometimes these people didn't know how to swim. They start out as one person, they didn't know how to swim, and they had to make a decision, okay, I'm going to keep a cool head when I go through here. I use an analogy sometimes with our team. Sometimes you just have to learn how to tread water until you get it figured out and not gulp in the water. Hey, things can get tough here. If you didn't come here with the skill sets that you need, you just got to skill up. Because they're the same person further down the trail, but they've learned as they went. And you're going to learn as you go on this thing. And you need to make a decision right now that you're not going to stop. It doesn't matter what comes your way. You're going to make it happen because you know on the other side of this thing, that's what you're going for. See, when they set out so they could stake the land and say, this is mine. This is my family's plot right here. And you have something right now inside of your heart. You need to define that and decide, this is what I came here for, and we're not going to stop. We didn't just come here to get to RVP. We came here to get free. One of the things, this was really interesting, I thought this was really interesting, was that if you were to go back and you were to study and look at the riverbanks where they crossed, they were littered with things that the pioneers were bringing with them. See, when they left, they would bring things from their past that they thought were important. And at some point they realized, I have to shed this stuff or I ain't going to make it. You're going to have to do the same thing. You're going to have to shed limited thinking. You're going to have to shed broke-minded people. You're going to have to leave them on the other side of the riverbank. You're going to have to shed bad habits, poor work ethic. Those things can't come with you on the journey. You have to make a decision now that the person that you are today, hey, that might not be the person that's going to make it to the other end of this thing. And you're going to have to change because of that. See, the river does not care if you know how to swim. The wolf does not care about your dreams. So you have to care about it. You have to decide that it's for you, that you can win here. You're either going to get to your destination or you'll be dead along the trail because you ain't stopping. Guys, we're going somewhere as a team. Let's go out there and do it. Love this team. See you at the top.